From powerful leaders commanding operative missions to dictators ruling their people, wearing a watch on each wrist have surprising advantages that no one ever talks about. It's not just about exactly knowing the time. There are shocking, unexpected reasons why influential figures practice double wristing. Let's dive in. A watch is far more than a device for telling time. It is a tool, a symbol, and a reflection of priorities. Before the invention of smartphones, it was a soldier's lifeline. Pilots navigating hostile skies, commanders orchestrating battles across continents, and agents deep behind enemy lines all relied on precision timing. The wrong calculation could cost lives. Wearing two watches gave these figures an edge. It offered instant access to multiple time zones. A general coordinating operations in the Middle East could see local time and Washington's time at a glance. No mental arithmetic, no delay, just certainty. In combat or negotiation, certainty is power. But this habit also created an image. A leader with two watches looked different from the rest of the world. He appeared tireless, alert, and connected to events far beyond his immediate surroundings. Double wristing became an unspoken message. I move between worlds, and time bends for me. Was he just on top of his schedule or rewriting history to fit his own clock? One man turned double wristing into an iconic symbol. General H. Norman Schwarzkopf, commander of US forces during the Gulf War. Schwarzkopf's leadership was defined by discipline and authority. His watch choices reflected that. On his left wrist sat a rugged Seiko diver's watch set to Saudi Arabian time. On his right, another watch displayed Washington, D.C. time. These were not accessories, they were instruments of war. In a conflict that demanded synchronization across multiple nations and time zones, Schwarzkopf needed absolute clarity. Photographs of him briefing troops and reporters with both watches became legendary. Soldiers even coined a term for it, Schwarzkopfing. Ask yourself, would a single watch have carried the same weight, or was it his way of saying, I am everywhere at once, and you can't keep up? If Schwarzkopf's double wristing was practical, Fidel Castro's was strategic theater. The Cuban revolutionary and leader wore two Rolex watches on the same wrist, an image that became part of Cold War history. In 1963, during a high-stakes meeting with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, Castro's wrist displayed both a Rolex GMT master and a day date. Reports suggest one watch tracked Havana time, the other Moscow time, and he may have used the GMT's additional hand to monitor Washington. This was not an accident. Castro was sending a message. His influence extended across continents, and he was prepared for any scenario. The symbolism deepened when considering Rolex's reputation. At the time, Rolex was known for rugged precision, not just luxury. For a Marxist leader to wear such watches was deliberate. Castro used them as instruments of political theater, blending revolutionary rhetoric with subtle reminders of his global standing. Some historians argue that Castro's double wristing was part of his persona, like Einstein's hair or Churchill's cigar. It made him unforgettable, a walking contradiction, a Marxist with the most coveted watches of his era. Could this have been his way of bending time itself, showing that a small island leader could stand toe-to-toe with superpowers? Legendary astronaut Buzz Aldrin took this tradition even further. He was photographed at breakfast wearing three watches, a NASA-issued Omega Skywalker X-33, a Mars timepiece, and a commemorative Apollo 11 Speedmaster. Aldrin wasn't making a statement. He had a history book on his wrist. A decorated fighter pilot and astronaut, Aldrin had flown combat missions, shot down enemy aircraft, and walked on the moon. Each clock represented an achievement in human innovation. The photograph of Aldrin's triple wristing became iconic, as it represented a life lived at the edge of human capability. His watches were more than just timepieces, they were proof of humanity's greatest leaps. Aldrin's reputation for fearlessness extended beyond his wristwear. When a conspiracy theorist accused him of faking the moon landing, the 72-year-old astronaut delivered a punch that silenced the doubter. His wrist carried history, and his actions defended it. How many of us could wear our entire resume on our wrists? Aldrin could. He didn't need words. His watches told his story. In the modern era, elite military units have redefined double wristing. Today it is common to see operators wearing a mechanical or digital field watch on one wrist and a smartwatch on the other. This combination is born from necessity rather than appearance. The mechanical watch is still a good companion. It works in freezing mountains, arid deserts, and in the crushing depths of the ocean. It needs no network, no batteries, and no software updates. The smartwatch, however, offers real-time navigation and biometric data monitoring and mission-critical alerts. By pairing both devices, wearers ensure that they are equipped for any given situation. But there's a dark side to smartwatches that elite soldiers know well. These devices can be hacked, tracked, or turned against the wearer, a threat we've covered in detail in another breakdown. That's why operators can strip the smartwatch in an instant, slipping back into total analog silence. This strategy reflects a culture of preparedness. No single tool is enough. Redundancy is essential, and double wristing provides it. If you're enjoying breaking down these layers of power and paranoia, hit that like button and subscribe. The next reasons will blow your mind. General Scott Miller, who led America's most elite units, embodied this philosophy. Photographs often show him wearing a Christopher Ward dive alongside a smartwatch. His choices were functional rather than flashy, a reflection of his reputation as a quiet professional. Miller's dual wrist setup symbolized the balance between tradition and innovation. One watch represented decades of military craftsmanship, the other his embrace of modern tools that enhance performance. Miller was not making a statement for the cameras. His equipment mirrored the discipline of a leader who understood that preparation is power. As double wristing grew more visible, it entered pop culture. Rappers, athletes, and actors began wearing diamond-encrusted watches on both wrists, turning a symbol of discipline into a display of wealth. While striking, it stripped the practice of its deeper meaning. This shift highlights the divide between utility and image. When Schwarzkopf or Miller wore two watches, it reflected responsibility over missions and lives. When a celebrity does it, it becomes a fashion trend. The same gesture tells very different stories depending on the wearer. Yet even in celebrity circles, the appeal of double wristing lies in its association with authority. It is a visual echo of a tradition built by generals, astronauts, and spies. It's worth asking, do celebrities double wrist to show off wealth? Or are they subconsciously borrowing the aura of leaders who truly bent time to their will? Throughout history, timekeeping has symbolized mastery. Kings, scientists, and commanders all treated clocks and watches as more than tools. Double wristing amplifies this symbolism. It shows that the wearer is operating at a level where ordinary schedules do not apply. Schwarzkopf's watches reflected command over global operations. Castro's Rolexes projected international influence. Aldrin's triple wristing symbolized humanity's exploration of space. Each example shows that this habit has always been about power, not vanity. A watch is intimate yet public. Doubling that presence creates a message of control. For those in power, strapping on two watches often becomes a ritual. It is a daily reminder of their responsibilities, a physical act that reinforces their authority. A general might put on one watch to track a theater of war and another to monitor headquarters. A dictator might wear two watches to remind rivals that he is never out of sync with global events. In special forces, the habit is rooted in survival. A soldier cannot rely solely on electronics in hostile environments. Analog tools remain vital. This redundancy represents a mindset shared by leaders and operators alike. Preparation is non-negotiable. The fascination with double wristing is not likely to fade. It represents a philosophy rather than a fashion trend. For Schwarzkopf, Castro, and Aldrin, it reflected lives that spanned battlefields, boardrooms, and even the moon. For special forces, it is a part of mission planning. For celebrities, it is a borrowed symbol of influence. Watches are very personal objects, and wearing two intensifies the connection. They are memories of the past and instruments for the future. Double wristing lives on because it represents both functionality and honor. Double wristing is not about style, it's about command, precision, and legacy. The image of two watches strapped to one person speaks volumes. It says that this is someone whose world is too large for a single clock. Generals, astronauts, dictators, and soldiers all share this practice because they understand what most overlook. Time is not just measured, it is controlled. Double wristing has always been a symbol of power and control. Did you know US presidents had their own secret watch tradition? Discover the surprising stories behind their unique timepieces in our previous video.